Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. For those of you on video, on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT. Happy to be here with you, celebrating where sports meets life. And we are here to bring you our fantasy football content in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, as we are here with Mr. Mike Sofka. Always love having Mike on the broadcast, so we are very happy to be here with you where sports meets life, and of course proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. The Wildcat is open for you 7 days a week right now with indoor and outdoor seating as weather permits, and you can come out there and enjoy all that they have to offer at the Wildcat for lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, we ask you to drink responsibly, and you can find them there on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, you can find them on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road. Or, pardon me, you could find them. That's Avicoli's, and I'm talking about some other things. My mind is everywhere right now. I want my veal parmesan. I want my wings from here and there and everywhere. And I want my Wildcat chicken Caesar wrap. Anywho, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Find them there. And, of course, you can also find your way out to them with takeout and delivery. All you have to do for takeout and delivery is call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. That's 315-487-2222. So, with that being said, Mr. Sofka, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dan?
Doing very well, and always happy to have Mike here on the show with us. So a lot of great stuff coming up here with Mr. Sofka. A lot of awesome things here, and we're talking ADP, average draft position. And so this is something that I know, Greg has asked for, and people want to know as we've been planning this out what the average draft position is going to be. So where would you like to get started with this?
Well, first, when I give average draft position, that puts you at a tremendous advantage. But this, just like everything else in fantasy football and NFL, it changes almost on a daily basis. Now, it's not going to change that much, but I do want to let everybody know that when I give my projections, my rankings, my ADP, it's all based on PPR, okay? It's all standard scoring, but PPR. I just think one of the things to do, if you want to do this on your own, it's fun, it's intense, and you're going to have to be tenacious about it, but you're going to have to project for each player what they're going to do and what they're going to accomplish stat-wise. Then you're going to have to use Excel or something to sort those out. Unless you want to do it by hand. That's the way we used to do it back in the day. Then I got to look at their team's schedule and injuries around the team and forecast how that's going to affect their projections and adjust the ranking thereafter. Then what I do is I take the median or mean, and then I adjust and I do a value-based draft ranking based on everybody that finishes that many more points, that many more projection points above the mean. And those are my top-ranked players. Or you could spend $6 and I can do it all for you. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Go to HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com, WinningFantasyFootball.com. I'll do all the tough work for you. If you want me to organize a cheat sheet based on your specific league settings within 24 hours of your draft, I have that service available. I have other full-time draft services available as well. Just select. But average draft position is just that. It's, who goes where. And, of course, most people are in agreement that the average draft position, Jonathan Taylor is the first overall pick.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. Obviously Jonathan Taylor, for what he's done, for what he has brought to, fantasy. I mean, we talked about his numbers when we did the running back show, and his statistics are incredible and impeccable. I mean, we look at what he's had here in just a little bit of time in the NFL, right? Not a ton of time that he spent in the NFL, just a couple seasons. And he had in 2020, 2021, he had 232 rushes for 1,169 yards, 11 rushing touchdowns. He also, in receiving, had 36 catches for 299 yards and a touchdown. Last season, 332 rushing attempts, 1,811 yards, and he had 18 touchdowns rushing. He also caught 40 balls for 360 yards and 2 touchdowns. His numbers are incredible. He's fantastic. And, there's certain guys I get excited about coming into the league, right? Breece Hall, for looking at his collegiate numbers, looking like something like this. But Jonathan Taylor has done it in the NFL, and I see no reason why we don't put him as the number one overall pick when we look at average draft position. So I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah, what I'd like to do here is just go through maybe the top 10 or so, and
Yeah.
then we can just spot where specific players rank in their respective positions. But the second one overall, of course, in PPR, it's almost a coin flip between these two guys here, Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. But the average draft position is Austin Eckler. He's the one that's going at 2, and Christian McCaffrey's going at 3. And these are important guys for their teams. You've seen when these guys go down, their teams do suffer, and other people have to pick up the pieces. And the backups have been suspect on both cases here in Carolina and in Los Angeles with the Chargers. And people say, well, Mike, the Chargers just drafted Isaiah Spiller. Well, yeah, but I don't think that says as much about Austin Eckler and a devaluation of him. I think it's more so on who's behind him and who's going to spell him and who's going to take the occasional third down or in case he needs a blow. So I still like Austin Eckler edging out Christian McCaffrey as average draft positions 2 and 3. Now, when I give these average draft positions, these are up to date, and this is based on a cross section of drafting tools that are out there on the internet. So this is real data in real time.
Yeah, you like Austin Eckler. I think, for me, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, listen, he has had, and a couple seasons ago, I know what it was like because I went through it, right? I had to go through the fact that I drafted him and I wasn't able to utilize him due to injury. So, you're waiting for him to come back. People are asking for you to drop him. You're wondering, should I drop him? Is he going to play 2 weeks? Is he going to play no weeks? Is he going to play 5 weeks? How's it going to be? So Christian McCaffrey, and then last season, we're talking about stuff as well. So, he dips in my list here that, okay, if Jonathan Taylor goes 1 overall, which I can anticipate that's going to happen, I think some people might go Derrick Henry because I feel like to some he's a name that is said more often or whatever, but I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the one that goes first. I can see Derrick Henry going second. I think Austin Eckler rides above Christian McCaffrey, but below Derrick Henry in my book. And I know Derrick Henry has to stay healthy as well, but this is a guy who can be a 2,000-yard back for you. So, I would say that average draft position for me, I would go Jonathan Taylor, then Derrick Henry, then Austin Eckler. And, Christian McCaffrey, to me, he's going to dip a little bit lower, maybe potentially even. I know Naji Harris is going into his second season, but he had a great rookie season, and I think he's going to have a better, situation now because I think there's more weapons that are there. I think they've gotten more young weapons and put them out. Calvin Austin III, who I covered at Memphis and spoke with, to George Pickens, both 2 young receivers that are going to be with the Steelers. And now you don't have to worry about Juju anymore. You don't have to worry about Antonio Brown in the last couple seasons. So now you have these young guns that are going to have an opportunity, and Chase Claypool is going to have a chance to show what he's got, right? There's some guys that Deontay Johnson and whatnot. So I think it's a good place for him. I think it's a good opportunity for him. And I think that, Naji Harris can arguably go above that too. You say your great ability is availability, and that's true. And that's something that gets echoed around the country in the wonderful world of sports. So I think Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, and I could see somebody going Naji Harris or Delvin Cook 4th overall before they go to Christian McCaffrey. But if you take Christian McCaffrey and I have the 6th pick and, Austin Eckler, Naji Harris, Delvin Cook still out there, I'm going to thank you for that.
Yeah, looking at the average draft position here, the next guy up is Cooper Kupp, the first wide receiver we see, the guy that just got the $35 million guarantee, the $80 million 3-year contract extension. I'm a bit wary here. And in this one tool I used for this most recently, Cooper Kupp came up as the number 1 overall pick based on the math and schematics of that league. It makes me a bit nervous, but it's still early. And here's my thing. I've always had this little thing in the back of my mind that when guys get paid, they take a step back. And what I mean by that is, I got $80 million on the line. I might not want to take this hit because I need to make sure I'm healthy. oh, well, maybe I'm not going to try for that extra yard because, well, I need to be available. My team needs me. I don't need that guy thinking that. I need that guy stretching for the extra yard, delivering that blow to get me that extra yard or two, that extra point that could be the difference in my game. That's why I'm a bit nervous when guys get paid. But right now, he's average draft position 4th overall, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, I could definitely. I think somebody's going to go high on Cooper Kupp. I do a bunch of different drafts. We do a few here in Central New York at the Wildcat Sports Pub, and so we usually have 3 or 4 a season. We have the one down in Florida, and then we have the Marywood one that we do with Marywood alums. So I'm involved in anywhere from 5 to 6 drafts a year, and Mike and I might get involved in other things as well. And in seeing this, I can fully see somebody going Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Austin Eckler. So, I mean, the average draft position for this, I think Jonathan Taylor is your consensus number 1 overall in most cases, but I will not be surprised if somebody goes Cooper Kupp in one of our drafts, number 1 overall. It's always hard for me to go wide receiver number 1 because running backs have less than they have to do to have that ball, right? They just need the quarterback to hand it to them. You don't have to be a great quarterback to just hand the ball to the running back. So wide receiver, you have to rely on a lot more from your quarterback, and that, I think, is going to affect, obviously, the average draft positions of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett because of the fact that they don't have Russell Wilson. And I think it's going to affect, in the same respect, because of Russell Wilson, I think it's going to change the average draft position of Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. And we talked about that in our wide receiver broadcast that we did there for the AFC side of things. You could go back and watch on the fantasy football tab of wakeupcalldt.com. You can go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and search our fantasy content there as well. So, I mean, for me, Mike, I can definitely see within these first few picks here that if Jonathan Taylor is our consensus 1, in some cases somebody might go Cooper Kupp like you mentioned. I think within the top 4, the Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Austin Eckler, maybe a Delvin Cook could be going in this. Delvin goes very high too within these top 5, top 6 of what I'm seeing. But I think the wide receiver that's going to come off the board within the top 6 picks could very well be Cooper Kupp. I know in some things I've looked at, he's fallen to 7th average draft position. I don't know if he's going to get that far.
Yeah, and just looking at the overall comparison of other players. So, it's not that comes into it because it's not only with the average draft position that I'm interested in, it's where I have them ranked in comparison to that average draft position. For instance, if I know a guy's not going till the 2nd round, he's got him projected for the 1st round, I'm going to try to wait. I'm going to wait. Lose him, I lose him, but there's a reason why I got other guys ranked ahead of that guy. So you go, again, average draft position's important where these guys are expected to go. You may scoop up an extra pick in the process by knowing that bit of information, or when you use my cheat sheet, you have that information right on the cheat sheet next to the rankings and everything for that individual player. So I would think the next guy up here would be, and yeah, it is, going 5, the average draft position of 1st round, 5th pick is Derrick Henry. This is based on PPR. So Derrick Henry doesn't get a lot of catches out of the backfield, but he is projected to get about 330 carries this year, which is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like you said, when you look at this average draft position, and, I argued going a little bit higher, but I could definitely see that, and like you said, not a lot of catches out of the backfield, but the amount of time that you're going to be carrying the ball and the amount of time that your team is going to be leaning on you and trusting in you and putting this in your position. I mean, these guys that are going to go early, these are the workhorses. These are the bell cows. These are the ones that are the number 1 definite, this is where we're going, this is where we're working. Now, I think Austin Eckler is going to, with Isaiah Spiller coming in, I think, Spiller will spell some time for Austin Eckler, and Naji Harris might see somebody else come in there at times, but, I think in the world of Derrick Henry, it's going to be him. Now, they did bring in another strong guy behind him as well, and there's something to be said about that for the future, but, it's also an insurance policy A guy like Derrick Henry is going to go to work and he's going to get after it. And like I said, this is a guy that could be a 2,000. I look at him as a 2,000-yard back. So if he gets you 1,000 yards, it's like, okay, par for the course. If he gets you 2,000, then he got you a birdie, essentially. And that's how I look at it in this respect. I think he's a fantastic pickup. If and when he is healthy, he is one of the top fantasy studs of the entire NFL, and that's without question in my book.
Yeah, and then when we go back to the wide receiver for number 6, guess which wide receiver it is? I'll give you 2 to choose from. Is it Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson that's going at 1-6?
I'm going to say it's Justin Jefferson.
You would be correct. Ding, 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 you win. And that's who I have ranked a couple spots ahead is Justin Jefferson. And how can you could argue the other way. I was in a dynasty draft the other day, and I had the opportunity to take one of those 2 guys, and I ended up going with Jamar Chase in that particular set of rules for that league because I had it down to the projected score, down to the last game of the year, and he just edged him out. So I ended up going Jamar Chase. But in this case, the average draft position, it is Justin Jefferson. He's going to catch 100 balls. He's probably going to get 1,500 yards. So this is a solid guy for your team, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson, we've looked at it before. I mean, his numbers have been fantastic as well. Statistically, what he has done, we look at 2 seasons that he's been in. 1,400 yards in his rookie season, 1,600 plus yards in his sophomore season. So, I mean, what can you say about Justin Jefferson outside of the fact that, Stephon Diggs goes to Buffalo and it's fantastic, but Minnesota's like, Stephon who? Whatever. It's fine. We have Adam Thielen, and we got this other guy, Justin Jefferson. We went and picked him up in the draft. He's pretty good. He's got over 3,000 yards in 2 seasons receiving. 88 catches as a rookie, 108 catches last season, 7 touchdowns as a rookie, 10 touchdowns last season through the air. Justin Jefferson's got to be there. But you mentioned him, so I'll give you my thoughts on this guy as well, because I believe that once we hear Justin Jefferson's name or this guy's name, the other one's going, whichever one it is. I know if Mike and I are in a draft and I hear Justin Jefferson, he's probably going. If I go Justin, he goes Jamar. If he goes Jamar, I go Justin, is how I think it'll go here. Because Jamar Chase, depending on what running backs are still available, Jamar Chase in his rookie season, as I said when we were doing our mock draft for the actual NFL draft, I said, of course, in 2021, they're going to draft Jamar Chase if he's available, because he was the guy that worked with Joe Burrow at LSU to win a national championship in the college football playoff. So why would you let him go? Other people saying, get a lineman, get a defensive guy, get somebody to help him out. A lot of people are talking about address the line. I think Mike actually talked about addressing the line, and I said, Mike, I don't disagree with you that they need help there, but they're not going to give up his dominant weapon when they have an opportunity to take him. They didn't give it up, and Joe Burrow threw to him 128 times last year. He caught 81 of them for 1,455 yards as a rookie, and he had only 2 fumbles. He lost one of them, regained the other one, and 13 touchdowns. These guys are nasty, and this makes me concerned for T. Higgins, but I know T. Higgins is still involved. He's not a bad pickup to have, but he's relegated himself. He's now a number 2 in fantasy because of Jamar Chase. So Chase, Justin Jefferson, 2 great picks. Average draft position is going to be high here within the top 6 or 7. I agree with that, and I fully expect, like I said, once one of them goes, the other will be quickly behind.
Well, you're going to have to be patient just by a pick because Jamar Chase's average draft position is the 8th pick in the first round. The guy sandwiched in between Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, that would be Naji Harris from Pittsburgh, the running back. In this PPR format, he's going to get probably 65, 70 receptions. He had 74 last year. He's going to pick up that 1,000 yards for you, probably add 10, 11 touchdowns. So this is a guy you're going to be able to count on. So I think it's justified that his position's at the 7th pick of the first round.
307 carries as a rookie. 307 carries as a rookie. As a quarterback gets older, they lean more on the running game. 307 carries as a rookie. 1,200 yards on the nose. Hopefully gets better at yards per carry, 3.9. 7 touchdowns. So Great work here. He also had 74 catches, 467 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That means that he had 1,667 all-purpose yards, Naji Harris, as a rookie. 307 rushing attempts. You think would make him lethargic, tired. Oh, he can't move. He catches 74 balls. Naji Harris was the offense of Pittsburgh last season because Deontay Johnson didn't wow me. Chase Claypool didn't consistently wow me. I love Pat Freiermuth, and y'all know that I do, and they didn't throw to him enough. So, and I believe they took a touchdown away from him that would have helped me in fantasy. How dare you, NFL? But yes, Naji Harris is awesome.
And what does that say about Alabama and their running backs? Not only do their running backs constantly get drafted and constantly perform well, but guys like Naji Harris and Derrick Henry, those are 2 guys in the top 7 here, and they both came from the same school, and they're both almost equally as young. They got plenty of years left, and part of that is because they still had tread on the tires when they left. That's why I like Alabama. It's next man up. These guys share the role. There's not that one guy outside of the quarterback that's taking every snap. So when these guys come out as a running back out of Alabama, not only are they probably one of the best in the country coming out of high school, but they're probably one of the best in the country coming out of college, and you're going to get some life out of them. They're not a 3 to 5 guy. They're a 7 to 9 guy, which is, 3 to 5 years is the average NFL lifespan. The NFL, not for long. These guys don't have a tremendous window. That's why when you get hurt, your whole career could be over just on an injury that puts you out for half a year or so. You don't know who's going to come on the field behind you. So again, Alabama, great job on managing the touches of these guys so these guys can go out and make their money.
And there's another guy from Alabama that I don't think people talk about enough, and I bring him up, and maybe I should be his agent since he's in a contract year, but that's Josh Jacobs. People forget about Josh Jacobs, what Josh Jacobs has done, what he has brought to the table. I feel like, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, Josh Jacobs. But look at this now. They're going to have so many weapons that he can get himself more involved. Why? Because look at what they have. They bring in Devonte Adams. You have Darren Waller. You got Hans McGee, Hunter Renfrow here. So that means that if there's going to be talent all over the field, they may not be keying in on Josh between the tackles like maybe they did in the past. I want to give this man credit where credit is due. As a rookie, he had over 1,000 yards rushing. 200. He's carried the ball over 200 times all of his 3 seasons in the NFL. 242 carries as a rookie, 1,150 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4.8 yards a carry. Then in 2020, he had 273 carries, 1,065 yards, 3.9 yards a carry, 12 touchdowns. Last year, almost 900 yards on the ground, 207. So he had less carries and 872 yards. So don't knock him here. After having 273, 242, he had 217. If he had more, we're looking at potentially another 1,000-yard season. How do people write this guy off and the Raiders go, we're not going to renew, we're not going to pick up that final option on your rookie year? 872 yards, 4 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. Like I said, if he had more carries, reason of 4 yards per carry and what he's already done, we could be looking at 3 years, 3 times 1,000-yard back. And he's in a contract year where he's trying to make money somewhere of these 32 NFL franchises. So let's talk Naji. Let's talk Derrick Henry. I know that average draft position, they're higher than Josh Jacobs. But let's not forget that Josh Jacobs, you want to call him a poor man's Alabama guy, like he's in a contract year. He's a good running back. He's consistent. And he's a 1,000-yard guy that nobody talks about. Because you open a book and the book says he's 22 and everybody wants to write him off. Stop it. And if you don't want to draft him, well, I'm fine with him being my second or third guy off the bench. That's fine with me. I'll take Naji and then I'll go find Josh and I'll go home happy knowing that, going off of Mike's point, Alabama's got talent on talent on talent on talent. And when they come to the NFL, there was a question years ago, do Alabama running backs translate? Because there was this moment of, are they actually going to make it? Have they been successful recently? Kind of like Notre Dame quarterbacks right now. But Alabama with Josh Jacobs, Naji Harris, and Derrick Henry, I think they've shown you, yeah, they can make it. They're all 1,000-yard backs. So what does that tell you about Alabama?
Well, Josh Jacobs right now, number 20 on my rankings, average draft position going in the 4th round, 8th pick. So whatever that means. I think the problem with Josh Jacobs is he's in a contract year. They just drafted Zamir White, so they must see something between the lines. They may see something at practices. They may see something in a metric that not everybody knows about. You look on the squad, they also have Kenyon Drake. I mean, that's going to affect his carries. Now, what that's not a bad thing for Josh Jacobs or the Raiders. That's a great thing because he's going to have time. He's going to be spelled. These guys are going to be fresh. These guys are going to be chomping at the bit to get the ball, battling it out every day.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. The challenge here is that's not going to get you paid in a contract year. You're not going to get paid if you're a committee guy. If you're a committee guy, you're a committee guy. That doesn't mean he doesn't go somewhere else and sign for more money, because that depends on where they value him in Los Angeles. And right now, the message on the wall, the writing on the wall, without re-upping him and with drafting a running back, I think the message is quite clear. He's going to ride out his time for the Raiders and move on unless they can get a friendly contract for the Raiders. But moving on to number 9 is where we talked about a guy before, Dalvin Cook. This is where Dalvin Cook's average draft position is, number 9. And I think the reason why he's a dip lower than some of these other guys is simply because of his history. Again, your best ability is availability. And let's face it, he doesn't have a great track record over his career being available all year long. His average draft position right now, first round, 9th pick.
He also has more tread on the tires, right? So he's been in the league since 2017-18, only played 4 games that season. He has yet to play a full season. I don't think people know that. I'm going to say it again. He has yet to play a full season. Played 4 games in 2017-2018. Then 2018-19, he played 11. 2019-20, he played 14. 2020-21, he played 14. And last season, he played 13. He's never played a full season. Now, is he 1,000-yard back of the last 3 seasons? Yeah. 1135, 1557, and 1159 last season. 13. He's had 2 seasons of the 5 where he's had double-digit touchdowns. 13 in 2019, and in 2020 he had 16. Last season he had 6. He averages 4.7 yards per carry in his career, and he had 4.7 last season. 4.8, 4.8, 4.8. 4.6, 4.5, 5.0, and 4.7 are how his 5 seasons go. He has 39 touchdowns in 5 seasons, which averages out to about 8 a season, around somewhere. And so, not a bad bet here to take a look at what he has done up to this point. And, 1,000-yard back, but hasn't played a full season. So this is where the question mark comes in. Derrick Henry is above him because Derrick Henry had recent injury but had been out there. And Derrick Henry has less tread on the tires. So you look to something like that. Dalvin Cook has played more most recently, which is a good sign. His better seasons are more recently, which is a good sign. Now, can he play a full 17 regular season games? And if he does that, are we looking at a 2,000-yard back? We shall see. But I understand Dalvin Cook being at the latter part of average draft position when you put him in this world of being number 9, still within the top 10, but with some guys like the Cooper Kupps, the Naji Harrises, the Ecklers, the Henrys, and the Taylors above him.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying with the running back theme, number 10, average draft position, number 10 overall, first round, 10th pick, Joe Mixon. And I can't argue with this one because Joe Mixon's a baller. This guy's a scrapper. Yeah, a couple years ago, he had a problem, with an injury, a foot injury, put him out. He only had 6 games, but this is a guy that's going to run for 1,200 yards. This is a guy that's going to have 40 receptions. This is a guy that tallies 70% of his team's carries. And last year, he also had 10% of the team's targets. So that offense runs through Joe Mixon on the ground. And, of course, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow take advantage of that in the air. So Joe Mixon going average draft position, a 10th overall.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, you look at what he has behind him. Not a lot of household names here. Samaje Perine is there. He's been around a little bit. Elijah Holyfield, who I covered in college, he's there. Jacquez Patrick, who I covered in college, he's there as well. But, this is the Joe Mixon show. Jeremy Hill got ran out of town. Giovanni Bernard got ran out of town. So, this has become Joe Mixon, and that says something about what this team has thought about Joe Mixon's output over the years. So, to me, and still a relatively, young guy in the game as well, Joe Mixon, we look at his time that he's played in the NFL, same amount of time that we saw Dalvin Cook. He came in 2017. However, he played 14 games as a rookie. He's had 4, 8, 5, 3, and 13 touchdowns in his 5 seasons. The 13 is most recent. His 4.1 yards per carry equals what he did in 2019-2020, and it's his second best average in his entire time in the NFL. He had 4.9 in 2018-2019 season. He played in 16 games last season and attained his most yardage on the ground ever in his 5 seasons in the NFL, totaling 1,205 yards. It's the third time that he's been 1,000-yard back like a Dalvin Cook. Dalvin's done it in each of the last 3 seasons, and Joe Mixon has done it in 3 of the last 4 seasons due to the fact that in 2020 he only played 6 games due to injury, had 428 yards and 3 touchdowns. So you can't really look at 2020 as a true marker of what he has done, but you can look to 2018, 2019, and 2021, where he averaged 4.9, 4.1, and 4.1 yards per carry. And if you add up 2018 and 2019, his total touchdowns on the ground were 13. He did that in 1 season last season, as I had mentioned before. So Joe Mixon's got a ton of talent. I understand him making the top 10 and squeaking in here because the other guy that I would have thought in the running back position, he shares the field, and Joe Mixon doesn't really have to worry about sharing that much.
No, not at all. And assuming you're in a 12-team draft, that's the way I do all my average draft positions here is based on 12-team league. Because let's face it, 8-team football. Dan, I know you'll argue with me on this, but 8-team leagues just don't do it for me. And I know sometimes stuff happens, but yeah. A real man's league is a 12-man league, 14, 16, 32-man league. You're a baller if you're playing in a 32-team fantasy football draft, but I'm not going to argue with anybody who wants to take Stephon Diggs in the first round. He's the number 11 overall average draft pick, number 11. And I think you're going to get paid if you take advantage of that. He's going to have over 100 catches. He's going to have 1,300 yards receiving. This guy gets it done. He's got a great quarterback, the best quarterback in the game right now in Josh Allen. I think Stephon Diggs is, and I see 11th pick.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs, and here's the thing, okay? If you're in an 8-team, it's because 2 idiots dropped out last minute. Let's call it what it is, okay? There's always somebody that doesn't show up, and I said that I had I remember one year.
Not in my leagues. Those guys never play with me again. They're done. Well, burn me once you're done.
Well, Mike, to go off your point, I don't remember the name of the person that did that.
There you go.
So it's not that I don't talk to you anymore. I don't remember the name of the person that did that because I changed the schedule 3 times for this person. 3 times. And then I get oh yeah, I'm working. I thought when you said Sunday, you meant Saturday. So let's call it what it is, okay? Let's be real about fantasy for a second. Let's take a little aside. If you're in a fantasy football league, these are prime value spots. These are front row seats to the concert. If you want front row seats, then you come and you be a part of it. We do it up nice for you at the Wildcat Sports Pub. We do it up nice for you at Hooters I Drive in Orlando. So if you're not going to be a part of it, don't be a part of it. Don't say you're going to be a part of it and not show up. I don't want to do that. Okay, emergency situation, remote, right? Your wife is having a baby. Okay, I'm going to ask you, how many centimeters is she dilated? Can you make it down for a couple hours and then run right back to the hospital? But
no, time out. I've drafted from football games. I've drafted from weddings. I've drafted from church. I've drafted from the parking lot while I was at work.
I drafted from the Animal Kingdom parking lot. I literally drafted from the Animal Kingdom parking lot. And so I am with you. I understand you. I know you. I would draft from the air if I could. So, I've drafted all where I have to, wherever I have to, however I have to. So I found a way.
But nothing beats in person. You have to be there in person. Right. That's the best. Right. That's the best.
And that's the thing, right? And that's why we do what we do at the Wildcat Sports Pub, and that's why we do what we do at Hooters I Drive in Orlando. So if you have a spot in my league, you are grandfathered in. If you have a spot in any one of the Wake Up Call fantasy football leagues, you automatically have the right of first refusal. If you're not going to take your spot, tell me, give it up. I'm going to give it to somebody else today. Okay, that's what we're doing. So if you have a spot, take it, because we right now are firming up the plans of every single draft that we have going on. You need to let me know. Last year, I gave somebody like 6 months, and they didn't know if they were going to be available. I said, okay, well, then you have a fantastic day, because we don't need you in the league. So if you want to be in, dtstays@gmail.com. Email me today, dtstays@gmail.com. Jump into the league. Mike says Stephon Diggs. I'm not going to argue with this. And I think Stephon Diggs could go above Joe Mixon. I think that they could go back and forth. I think that I'm going to get some Bills fans up here that are going to draft Stephon Diggs in an average draft position of 5 or 6 because of the fandom, because of where they are, proximity, all that good stuff. But Stephon Diggs being in the top 12, I agree. 10 to 12 team leagues are comfortable because, to me, I don't want to say comfortable. 10 to 12 team leagues are good because you have to be smart, but there's still people going to be available in emergency situations on the waiver wire and in free agency. You get to 16, it's going to get dicey. I'll play in a league with anything. 20, 22, 86. Let's like 5 of us get a quarterback. I don't care. But the reality of it all to me is it's fun to play in the leagues. I keep them 10 to 12 to keep it fair and keep it fun and welcome in people that maybe have never played before. And if we're in an 8-team league, it's because, like I said, there's 2 morons that confuse Saturday with Sunday. So, yes, I agree with Stephon Diggs. Your final one, Mike, before we wrap things up here.
Yeah, the final in the first round, here's Devonte Adams. And he could arguably go above Stephon Diggs because I think he's going to have an excellent year. He's being paired up with Derek Carr again, his old college buddy from Fresno State days. This is a guy who I was totally surprised that Green Bay let get away. But this was Devonte Adams' decision. He had that right to go, and he's gone. So God bless him. I hope he gets paid. I think he's going to get paid. And when I say get paid, he's getting paid. What I mean is I hope he pays off. I hope he pays off for you at the 12th pick. So, if you noticed, we didn't have any of these high-flying rookies in here.
No.
We didn't have any quarterbacks in here in the first round, but there's some surprises. So if you ever have any questions about average draft position, you can always ask us in the comments. You can always shoot me a message on the website, hallofameffantasyfootball.com, winningfantasyfootball.com. I'll give you the straight poop. I'll give you the answer at that time to the best of my ability. Because like I said, these things evolve, these things change. But what's not going to change is Devonte Adams is worthy of a first-round pick as a wide receiver in your fantasy football draft.
Yeah, I believe he is too. He's got Derek Carr. We'll see what life is going to be like there. He had Aaron Rodgers. Some people consider him the best ever or the second best ever or the top 5 best quarterbacks ever. So, Aaron Rodgers, to me, he's a good quarterback. A little bit of a drama queen, a little bit too much drama for me. Don't like all of that pepper on the steak. But, I think Devonte Adams definitely to the Raiders. Listen, he's going to open a lot of things up. They already have, like I said before, Darren Waller. You have Hunter Renfrow, who is undervalued, and I'm okay with that. Mike's okay with that. Because picking him up in a PPR league when he's a possession receiver, hello. So, and Josh Jacobs in a contract year. All of these guys that are going to be there for the Raiders. Listen, this was a team that went to overtime in the last game of the regular season, fighting tooth and nail with the Chargers to get into the playoffs. Derek Carr is better than people think he is. David Carr is better than people think he is, but he never got a chance because he got sacked 92 times as a rookie as a part of an expansion team with the Houston Texans, and he never got to truly show himself in the NFL. Shout out to Derek Carr and all the work that he's done. Devonte Adams definitely should be up this list for you. I'm seeing some average draft position stuff that I've looked at this morning that has Stephon Diggs below Devonte Adams, and I don't agree with that. We didn't put a tight end in here either. Somebody might go wildly on Travis Kelce. I know that the top of the second round in a 12-team league, someone's going to go Travis Kelce. And I think somebody's going to try and sneak Pat Mahomes in here in round 1 as well. But I'm always very skeptical about going quarterback and tight end in the first round, and in the second round to go high on these. I feel like, okay, in the middle of the second round, first and second round, I'm thinking wide receivers and running backs. Right? And depending on where I am in this snake draft, because that's how we do it, I'm going to get very adventurous. If I'm 1 or 10, I like both of those picks. Because if I'm 1, I know I got the number 1 overall. I'm going to pick Jonathan Taylor, but I have the number 1 overall, and then I can snake it back. If I have 10, then I get to come at you, and I'll do running back, wide receiver, running back, however I want to do it. So that might look at the average draft position. You say, well, Dan, you said that guy was higher than that guy, but if I'm in the snake draft, what does it matter? They're my 2 picks. So I think in a 10 to 12 team league, it's advantageous in a snake draft to be on the bookends. It's not fun to be like the 2nd or 3rd or the 8th or 9th, because you're like sitting there waiting forever, but you don't get 2 picks in a row. So that's something to look at as well. So with that being said, we gave you our first round of this average draft position, and we'll get more into it as Mike and I are going to be mock drafting next week inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Call them for takeout and delivery at 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. This is your ADP show, your average draft position. Any final thoughts, Mr. Sofka?
Yeah, no matter what you do, stick to the golden rule. I don't think we've said it enough this year yet. Don't take your kicker or your defense before the end of the draft. Your kicker should be the absolute last thing you pick. Well, Mike, they score more points than quarterbacks. Yeah, well, garbage men pick up more trash than most people. I don't know what you want me to say. You're asking me, and I'm telling you, pick these guys last. I've done this year after year after year. Unless you're in some sort of crazy scoring system where the team defense or the kicker gets abnormal points comparatively to everyone else. Yeah. Trust me, this is what I do. I do it on a value-based system. So I can answer questions like you had there. Well, do you take Kelsey in the 2nd round at the beginning, or is he worthy of going into 1st round? I can give you that up-to-minute information. Hit me up at winningfantasyfootball.com, Hall of Fame fantasyfootball.com. It's cheap, and there's a lot of free stuff there as well, so you'll be able to get that information. But yeah, I'm excited for this year. Just please, do not take your kicker or your defense before the last couple picks.
I'll put it to you like this. If you take your kicker or your defense, you have a chance of being kicked out of the league. That's how we have to look at it. I mean, Mike and I have said this since I think I've said it since I was 7 years old. I think Mike and I met somewhere a long time ago at daycare, and we were just having a conversation, and this is what we were talking about, because we have told you for so many years. I mean, it's been at least 12 years that we have said to you, stop it. Take your defense in your 2nd to last pick, your kicker, your last pick. Defense, kicker. Defense, kicker. Hello and good night. And that's it. You want to take your defense in the 9th round? You're an idiot. You want to take your kicker in the 5th round? I have no words for you, okay? But what I've realized from COVID is when they allowed us to come back outside, which is unconstitutional, by the way, but when they allowed us to come back outside again, it made me realize how many of you people I would project take defenses and kickers, because you're nuts. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You're also the same people that probably pick at the end of, you're on the subway and you pick underneath the railing and you go, ooh, gum. I mean, it's just stop. Just stop doing it. Don't eat Subway gum. Don't take your kicker and your defense in the middle of the draft. And, just overall, be a contributor to society. Don't be somebody that takes from society. Give to society. Because, as Mike said about the trash, if you're taking them early, you smell the same as the trash, and don't be surprised if on Thursday somebody comes and picks you up and dumps you off, or whenever your trash is going to be taken up that week. So have yourself a fantastic day. Mike, as always, I thank you for everything. Mike Sofka, Hall of Fame fantasyfootball.com, winningfantasyfootball.com, free and paid opportunities to make your team better today and to get you ready for the draft, which is coming up at the Wildcat as well as at Hooters. For now, for the Wildcat Sports Pub, and this being the Fantasy Football Power Hour, as always, Mike, I thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you, Dan. I look forward to next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So that coming from Mr. Mike Sofka here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And a big thanks to Mike, as always. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, we're going to take our final step aside of this broadcast, and we will be back momentarily to share with you a thank you, another note, and an appreciation, as always, for you being a part of the show.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Hey everyone, it's Sydney from iDrive in Orlando. We can't wait to welcome Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on site at 8801 International Drive in Orlando. Broadcasting live Monday, August 22nd through Friday, August 26th during our lunch each day from noon to 2 p.m. Come see us girls, hear from Dan and his special guests, and preview the college and NFL seasons from the greatest seat for all sporting events. Hooters iDrive in Orlando.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Very excited about our Hooters week coming up Monday, August 22nd to Friday, August 26th. We appreciate you for being a part of the show. I want to thank Bob Beretta for AD and DT. Once again, I want to thank Hooters iDrive of Orlando. Very excited. I want to thank Tim, want to thank Jeff, want to thank Farron, all the girls and the entire team at Hooters of America for this opportunity to be back down there in just a few weeks. And I want to thank Mike Sofka and the Wildcat for the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. From the Cafe Kubal studios, you are amazing. Have yourself a great day. I will see you very soon. God bless.